Hey, welcome to lesson number 1. In this lesson, we're going to be creating a wireframe. And a wireframe is basically a sketch of the app. You know how when you design a logo, you don't jump right into Illustrator or Photoshop. You first draw some lines into a paper or a napkin or whatever you can use, and you make that sketch so that you can know what you want for the logo, how the logo could look, and that sketch gives you a nice idea of what you want for the logo. The same applies to the app designing. We can just go into Photoshop and start designing the app screens because we won't know how they will look on the final design. We have to start by making a sketch, which is in this case a wireframe, and then we will have a very nice idea of how the layout will be, how the screen's layout will be, how which screen it comes first, and all the basic stuff that we need to know before going to the design part. So this wireframe, this sketch, or as you may call it, we can do it on a napkin, we can do it on a piece of paper, we can draw it in the back of our hands, we can do it anywhere. In this case, we're going to be using Illustrator. But seriously, you can do it wherever you want. What matters is that you can have a nice idea of what the layout of the app will be. So, to make a wireframe is really simple. Just draw some rectangle, which will be like our screen, our cell phone screen. Can do it like this. And this rectangle will be the app screen, the smartphone screen. And we just start designing what the layout could be. For example, the first screen will be the intro screen. You know, when you open an app, sometimes it shows the app logo and the login button and the sign up button. You know that screen, the intro screen. Then that will be the first one, and it could be something like this. Of course, I have already an idea of what the app will look. So we can put the logo, the app logo, but of course we're not going to be using the actual app logo, just placing some shapes instead, kind of like this. We can make this circle light gray, and this will act as the app logo. Because remember, we won't be designing anything on this wireframe. We just want to design the layout of the app so that when we go to Photoshop, we have a pretty nice idea of what we want, when things will go, when the buttons will be, where the app logo will be, and basically all the app layout. So this will act as the app logo, and below this app logo, I want the login and sign up buttons. So for those buttons, we're going to be using a rectangle and another rectangle. So this will be the login button, and this will be the sign up button. And that is it for the intro screen. As you can see, there's no design. Of course, the app won't look like this. On Photoshop, we're going to be creating a nice background. The buttons will be very nice. The app logo will be an actual logo. But by making this sketch, this wireframe, we have a very nice idea of what we want for the design when we go to Photoshop. So make sure that you name this screen. Let's call it intro screen, so that we can know what screen is this. Now let's create another screen, and that screen will be the login screen. When we click on the login button, it will take you to another screen where we will input our name, our email, and our password. So grab one of these rectangles. This will act as the login button now, and this rectangle will act as a text field where we are going to input our email and our password, and then click on the login button. So you can see how simple is this about creating a wireframe. It's really simple, but really helpful. Let's call this the login screen. And now let's create our sign up screen, which is kind of the same, but with two more text fields, because you know how they always ask for our name, our last name, our email, and our password, or something else. So this will be the sign up button and the 4 text fields. Now let's rename this as sign up screen. All right, we have our first 3 screens. For this course, we're going to be designing 6 screens. So the next screen is, of course, the most important one, is the dashboard screen, which is the main screen for the app where all the things go. We're designing this app very much like Instagram, and you can see how Instagram, when you log in or sign up or whatever you do, you can see your friends post, you can see their profile pic with the name and the post. So we're going to be designing exactly like that. So name this the dashboard, and for the dashboard I want it to look like this. I will take this circle will act as the profile pic from our friends. Of course, we have to put the name on these friends. You can grab a rectangle that acts like its name, and we draw a wider rectangle, a larger one, and this will act as the post. The post could be a GIF, could be a picture, could be a video or animation, whatever, but this will be the space that the post will have. So let's duplicate this, because the idea, of course, is that you can scroll until you get tired of scrolling, and you will see tons and tons of your friends' posts. So this will act as this post, and of course we have to have a toolbar. A toolbar is this little tool on the bottom of the screen that always have these nice tools like home icon, like the profile icon, the upload icon, and whatever you want to give. So let's draw 5 circles that will act like the tools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this will be our toolbar. You can see that the dashboard is really simple. Of course, as I said before, it won't look exactly like this. On Photoshop, we will design everything and it will look beautiful, I promise. But the idea on the wireframe is that you have a pretty nice idea of how the layout will be. Of course, I already know how the app will look, so that makes it so much easier for me to make this wireframe. But in the case of you creating an app from the beginning, of course you have to go back and forward with this layout thing. So we have now our dashboard. Now we have to make our profile screen, which will be very simple too. Let's keep this toolbar. Let's remove this, and let's grab the same profile pic. Let's make it a little bigger. Let's put this behind, and let's make it a little lighter. And then below our profile pic and our name, we will have kind of like a shortcut to our friends' profiles. You can make this circle smaller, and let's put some of our friends' profile pics. So this will be kind of like a shortcut if we want to go to a friend's profile, so you don't have to look for it. And below this, we're going to have our own post, which will have, of course, the info that when we posted them, how many likes, how many views. and an endless amount of posts. This will be our profile screen. Finally, we will have our friends list screen, which is really simple too. Let's call this friend list screen. And this screen will just have our friends' profile pics, maybe 3 per row, kind of like this. Of course, we will design it in a much proper way, but it will look kind of like this, rows of 3 friends. Now, one final thing that we can do that will be very helpful is to create kind of like a flowchart of how the app will work. For example, we have all these screens. Let's group them, but I want to give them an order, kind of like a flowchart, and it will be like this. We will have our main screen, or first screen, which is the intro, and then after this intro screen you can go either to the login screen or the sign up screen. So let's make some lines here to create kind of like a flowchart. Of course, it's not going to look very nice because all I want is to show you what it should look like. So you can see that we have the intro screen, and this tells you that from the intro screen we can either go to the login screen or the sign up screen. And then from the login or sign up screen we will go to the dashboard. So we can take this and turn it around, and then you can see how from this screen we will go to the dashboard, and from the dashboard we can either go to our profile screen or to a friends list screen. And now we have a proper wireframe. So you can say, is it important? Is this really worth our time? And the fact is that this is really, really important, because remember that we want to make the user experience as nice as possible. So to make sure that the user will have an awesome experience with our app, we have to make sure that everything is on track. And to be sure of that, we have to pay close attention to these little details, like how the layout, the main layout will be, when do you go to each screen, which screen takes you to which screen. And trust me when I say that this will save you a lot of time when you come to the design part. Because by having this, you already know how the layout will be. So the design part should be only to place stuff, changing stuff, and making this wireframe look beautiful. But you will already know how the layout will be, how the main layout for the app will be. So when you design an app, if you have an app designing job, make sure that you take your time to make the wireframe, the flowchart, and everything that it's proper way to develop an app design. So enough from Illustrator. Now for the next lesson we're going to go to Photoshop and start designing this app. See you in the next one.